In a world where pennies are too often tossed into jars, forgotten in couch cushions, or slid across countertops without a second glance, there exists one coin that defies its humble reputation. It doesn't glitter like gold. It's not silver, nor is it grand in size. But this coin, struck in 1985 at the Denver Mint, has turned ordinary metal into a small legend with a staggering story. This is not just another 1-cent piece. This is the 1985 Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly become one of the most mysterious and valuable discoveries hiding in plain sight. Imagine, for a moment, that a single copper-plated cent from the 1980s could be worth as much as a luxury car, or even a house deposit. That's not an exaggeration. That's the astonishing truth. In 1985, the United States was living in a time of innovation, transition, and tension. Ronald Reagan sat in the White House. Personal computers were beginning to infiltrate offices and homes, and the Cold War still cast its long shadow. Amidst this climate of global concern and domestic advancement, the U.S. Mint was hard at work, doing what it had done for centuries, striking coins for circulation, keeping the gears of commerce well-oiled with dimes, nickels, quarters, and of course, the iconic Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent had already celebrated its 76th anniversary by 1985, and it remained a symbol of tradition and endurance. Designed in 1909 by Victor David Brenner, the coin was introduced to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, breaking away from the allegorical representations that had defined American coinage in the 19th century. Over the decades, the design evolved. The reverse of the coin, originally featuring 2 wheat stalks, had been replaced in 1959 with an image of the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, was the one that would appear on the 1985 issue. By the mid-1980s, the U.S. Mint was no longer using solid bronze planchets for Lincoln cents. In an effort to reduce costs, a major change had occurred in 1982. The composition of the penny was switched from 95% copper to a much cheaper core of 99.2% zinc with a copper plating. This subtle shift would go on to cause enormous confusion and intrigue among collectors for decades. Coins that look nearly identical to the naked eye can vary significantly in weight, in sound, and, most importantly, in value, if you know what to look for. And that's exactly where the 1985 penny begins to stand out. Millions upon millions were struck at the Denver Mint that year, over 5.3 billion to be exact. But not all of them were created equal. Amidst the flood of coins churned out by high-speed presses, a few managed to slip through with mistakes so precise, so rare, that they've since become numismatic legends. Some of these rare 1985 pennies exhibit doubling on the obverse, a phenomenon known as a double die. Others were struck off-center or on the wrong planchets entirely, resulting in striking errors that command staggering premiums at auction. But perhaps the most thrilling discoveries have been high-grade specimens, 1985 Lincoln cents that somehow avoided the wear and tear of circulation and retained their pristine, mint-fresh luster. These coins, when submitted to third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC and receiving grades of MS67 or higher, become immediate collector darlings. A coin that once carried the weight of a simple cent now becomes a centerpiece in a serious collection. It's not just about condition either. Full steps, clean fields, and sharp strike details are what push these coins into the spotlight, catching the eye of investors and historians alike. One such example, with an almost flawless surface and blazing red color, crossed the auction block for well over $20,000. And that was just the beginning. Additional discoveries, including those with misaligned dies, missing mint marks, or even retained strike-throughs, where a foreign object was pressed into the coin during minting, have fueled an ever-growing fascination. Some particularly unique error coins from this year have sold for over $150,000, proving that the Lincoln cent, often overlooked, still has the power to shock. For those who take the time to examine their change, the 1985 penny represents an opportunity. It's not just a coin, it's a test of observation, of numismatic knowledge, and of luck. While billions of these coins were produced, only a small fraction were preserved in mint state, and an even smaller fraction were struck with errors or varieties that elevate them to collector's superstardom. And somewhere, in a roll of coins in a bank vault or tucked away in a forgotten drawer, may lie the next six-figure treasure, just waiting to be uncovered. Sometimes, history hides in plain sight, in something as ordinary as a penny. Now imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a single worn coin, and realizing you might be holding something worth as much as a diamond ring, a luxury watch, or even a down payment on a house. That's the surprising truth behind the 1998 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin. It's small, coppery, and often ignored. But under the surface of this unassuming cent lies a story steeped in heritage, sharp design choices, and the kind of minting oddities that collectors dream about. While millions walked right past it, a few coin enthusiasts spotted something others didn't. And that's where this penny transforms into a legend. The year was 1998. America was alive with momentum. Bill Clinton was in the White House. The economy was soaring through the final stretch of the booming 90s. Google had just been founded, the internet was exploding into a force of nature, and pop culture was shifting with the rise of teen music, sleek technology, and global connectivity. But while the world charged ahead, one tradition stayed rooted in the past: U.S. coinage, continuing to honor one of its most iconic figures, Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent was then approaching its 90th year in circulation. First introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth, the coin had seen many decades of change, both in its design and its materials. What remained untouched, however, was the portrait that still graced its front: the stoic profile of President Lincoln, engraved by Victor David Brenner, a design so timeless that it survived through wars, recessions, and revolutions in culture. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial still stood proudly, a structure that not only honors Lincoln's legacy but also silently encodes his image a second time. If you look closely between the columns, by 1998, the U.S. Mint was deep into producing zinc-core Lincoln cents. Since 1982, the Mint had replaced the earlier 95% copper alloy with a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition. The 1998 D. Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark just below the date. Denver's minting presses were working fast and hard that year, producing billions of coins. But as with all things mass-produced, sometimes imperfections slip through. Beautiful, valuable imperfections dotted in those errors and rare conditions that the 1998 D penny finds its true magic. To most, it's a 1-cent piece. To others, it's a needle in a haystack worth thousands. From doubled dies that slightly shift Lincoln's features, to off-center strikes that leave margins of blank metal, to transitional planchet errors that defy expectations, this year's coin offers surprises to the well-trained eye. Some collectors have stumbled upon specimens missing a portion of their copper plating, revealing the grayish zinc core beneath. Others found coins with die cracks that create dramatic, lightning-like lines across Lincoln's face or coat. And then, there are the truly rare examples, those that feature crisp, brilliant red luster and perfect surfaces, earning the highest grades from PCGS or NGC and skyrocketing in value. Even minor blemishes or inconsistencies can suddenly become treasures when certified by professionals. Graded MS67 or higher, some 1998 D Lincoln cents have crossed auction blocks at unbelievable prices. These aren't just nice coins. They're perfect representations of what a modern cent should be, preserved by pure chance and care in a sea of their worn-down brothers. When collectors see such a coin, hearts race, bids rise, and suddenly, a humble penny becomes a golden prize. The story of the 1998 D penny is one of patience, of detail, of knowing what most people miss. Collectors scour rolls, sort through bags, and study every curve and shine under magnifying glasses for a reason. Because once in a while, one coin stands out. And when it does, it rewrites what we thought we knew about value. It reminds us that history is still being discovered, one coin at a time. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand, small, copper-colored, often overlooked. But what if that tiny coin was a hidden treasure worth thousands? The 2015 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent coin is one such remarkable piece, carrying not just the story of America's beloved president, but also a journey of minting intricacies and collector passion that turns it into a gem for enthusiasts worldwide. While millions of pennies circulate daily, few know the story behind the 2015 Lincoln cent and why it has captured the attention of coin collectors everywhere. The Lincoln penny has been a symbol of American history since its introduction in 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, the design evolved yet stayed true to its original purpose, honoring Lincoln's legacy. The 2015 edition continues this tradition, but with subtle modern touches that distinguish it from the coins of earlier years. This penny's design showcases Lincoln's dignified profile, crafted with precision, set against a backdrop that carries forward the historic appeal, blending tradition with contemporary minting technologies. In 2015, the United States Mint continued to produce these coins primarily at two locations, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The D. Mint mark on the 2015 penny indicates it was struck in Denver. Both mints produced billions of pennies, but among those, there are rare variations and errors that collectors eagerly seek. For instance, some 2015 pennies exhibit striking anomalies, like doubled dies or subtle shifts in design elements. These imperfections, which might seem like flaws to the casual observer, are actually what elevate these coins from everyday currency to prized collectibles. The materials used in 2015 pennies remain consistent with the post-1982 composition of mostly zinc with a thin copper plating, a shift made to reduce production costs. However, collectors are often on the lookout for transitional planchets and striking variations where the plating might be uneven or missing in spots, revealing the zinc core beneath. Such coins are rare and highly valuable because they are not common in circulation and represent an interesting chapter in minting history. The collector appeal of the 2015 Lincoln cent goes beyond its physical characteristics. It reflects a wider fascination with modern minting practices and a love for Lincoln's enduring image. Collectors appreciate the 2015 penny because it bridges the gap between the classic copper cents of the past and the more modern zinc-based coins that dominate today's wallets. Some coins are preserved in pristine mint state conditions, gleaming with their original luster and sharp details. These uncirculated or proof coins often fetch higher prices at auctions and sales. Over the years, the value of the 2015 D. Lincoln cent has seen significant fluctuations. Common circulated pennies from this year might only be worth face value, but rare error coins and those in perfect condition can reach prices as high as $88,000. Limited editions and certified coins graded highly by professional services like PCGS or NGC have driven demand even higher. Enthusiasts and collectors around the globe watch for these rare finds, knowing that uncovering one could mean a valuable addition to their collection. In essence, the 2015 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent coin embodies a fascinating story of American history, modern craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. What starts as an ordinary coin can transform into a prized possession, a tangible piece of history, and, for some lucky collectors, a treasure worth thousands of dollars. This small penny, often overlooked, tells a grand story, one that continues to captivate and inspire anyone who takes a closer look.